Welcome everybody to the May meeting of the Commission on Aging Well. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. And first agenda item is to take care of the minutes, approval of the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, do I hear a motion for approval?
Motion.
Okay.
I would second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. No people here for public appearances, so we'll move to our agenda items. I don't see anything under agenda items, so we'll move right away, Marcia, to the Friends report. Marcia, can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, I can. Okay, so the Friends met a week ago, and during the month of April, the Friends provided $1,655 for special needs, some of which will be reimbursed by the county. We were able to put up the funds immediately for a client of one of the social workers. They were staying in a hotel prior to entering a senior housing facility. We also provided $50 for scholarships in the exercise classes. The travel committee will hold a travel show on June 8th at 1 p.m. at the senior center. They will promote the tours that are being planned for 2023 and the September tour to the national parks of the Southwest. There's a few places left there. That had a date change, as was recorded in your meeting minutes of last month. 12 people are leaving this afternoon for a tour going to the Holland Tulip Festival in Michigan, followed by 2 nights at the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island, and then to Dearborn to visit the Ford Museum. Actually, we had one couple canceled due to COVID, so we're down to 10. But we're looking forward to this. I'm one of them. I know Barbara Rotman is too. We welcomed a new board member, Lucy Meyer, and we thanked Diane Schmidt for her years on the board. Lucy is replacing another board member, and we will look to replace Diane in the near future. The Friends are planning a brat lunch, probably in July, as a fundraiser. The Friends approved a motion to match donations that hopefully will be made to fund the patio addition. And the amount of that match is $10,000 from the Friends. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Marcia? Okay. Director's report, Jill.
All right. Yeah, so thanks for the Friends for all their support. You know, the hotel stay was somebody that was evicted, and we were trying to transition them into other housing. And so the Friends floated that cost of the hotel until the county funding came through. So, you know, Dane County is supportive, and they do have some funds available oftentimes for sort of emergency situations, but you can't access that funding right away. So it was nice to have the Friends do that. Let's see, the brat lunch, just to follow up on that, we're getting 100 brats donated by Metcalf's. And, you know, years ago, they did this, and it was kind of coincided with the Brat Fest at the Alliant Center. And they used to cook them and then bring everything else, and that was really nice. I think they figured out that was a lot of work because other nonprofits get the brats too, so now they bring them to us frozen. So they're donating them at the end of this month, and then we're just trying to figure out a good time to hold that fundraiser for the Friends. So thank you to Metcalf's for that. Let's see. Going down the line here, Aging Advocacy Day was yesterday, and Marcia came in and participated, and we had a lot of people online. I think that the Wisconsin Aging Advocacy Network said about 180 people had registered for Aging Advocacy Day. which was, the training was virtual over Zoom. And then we just called our legislators to talk about the 3 issue briefs that were brought forward. One was funding for ADRCs, Adult and Disability Resource Centers. The second was make voting easy, because there is a lot of legislation that has been proposed that makes it difficult for some elderly folks and people with disabilities to vote. And then the last one was to advocate for support for caregiver tax credits. And that would be to, relieve some of the financial burden that caregivers might take on when caring for a loved one. And also to promote or provide more funding for respite care so people can get a break. So those are the 3 issue briefs that we were trained on, that you call your representative or your senator and talk to them about. And they kept, we're using the phone lines from AARP, so it's really slick. So you just call a 1-800 number, you type in your zip code, and it puts you right into your representative or senator. So they're keeping those phone lines open until next week, the 18th. So you have that packet, or I can re-forward it to you. But I encourage you to call, even though, your views might align with your legislator, so you feel like, oh, it doesn't really matter. They always vote the way I want them to vote or whatever. They still really appreciate the calls to say, I'm engaged, I know what's going on. So there is still an opportunity through next Wednesday to call. Older Americans Month is May. And we're having our Older Americans Month celebration next Wednesday, where we really highlight those 90 and older. So we've invited them, and the mayor will be kicking off the program with just a few words at the beginning. And then our Fitchburg singers are back to give a little special performance after lunch. So spots still available, so come on over. If you saw in the newsletter, we're doing Juneteenth. We're trying to celebrate more diversity. There was a flyer insert, and mine might have fallen out, but we're doing a nice meal in June. Susie, our office manager, organizes that. She did it last year, it was very successful. Fried chicken and collard greens and just more traditional food. And so you can start calling. I can't remember what date that is because my flyer insert's not in here, but it's not until sometime in June, so there's plenty of time for that. I'm happy to report on the transportation end that we did get 2 buses from Dane County, and that started May 2nd. So after years and years of just begging them for more transportation, thank God for ARPA funds, because they had some ARPA funds and that they could fund a second bus. So we are getting 2 buses now to bring folks to the senior center every day through this year and next year. So this really helps with getting people here early. We talked about people not being able to get here to do exercise or to just socialize. Some were getting here right before lunch and then having to get back on the bus at 12:30. So now we can get people here, say, at 10:30, and we can start to incorporate a few more programs so they can participate. The take-home time is still the same at 12:30. So the after lunch activities, we can't really incorporate just yet. But this is a good step in the right direction. So I can, roll right into the committee of the whole meeting. If any of you watched that, where Andrew did most of the presentation, he's definitely the facts and figures, and I'm just kind of the emotion and maybe the history of transportation and the needs that we've had over the years. And during my presentation, when I was preparing, I was looking back in my notes, and I went back 20 years when I wrote my first community development block grant to supplement transportation. So I was like, I'm either a really poor advocate because we still don't have any more transportation, or this is a huge topic. But I do feel that that council is very in tune with the needs of more transportation, not just for older adults, but for all people in Fitchburg. The outreach meeting, the town of Madison, that happened, I think, on the 28th of April, or somewhere around there. The main concern of a lot of those folks was transportation. So it really aligns, and lines up with what we're saying too. There's just no east-west transportation. There's no transportation to the civic campus unless you're a business person and get on a commuter bus. So everything seems to be kind of falling in line in terms of these are needs of everybody. So what are we looking at? So now we're just to the point of flushing out what's going to work for the city. And Andrew did propose a few different options during that meeting that looked at the cost of purchasing a bus, leasing it back to a contracted provider, maybe just using a contracted provider, their bus. We didn't really go down the path of buying a bus and hiring a staff. We touched upon that, but that was not, I feel like council was not as supportive as of that idea, and nor am I, because we have one driver, and if that driver gets sick, as we talked about, we don't have a backup plan. So anyway, we're looking at some options. Andrew coined it kind of a civic shuttle, that might be something that we could, kind of grab onto and push through, or at least advocate for, and starting out very, very slowly with limited stops, and then watching how, the need or the demand and where it is. So that's kind of where we're at. I think they had another town of Madison meeting about transportation actually last night to get some more information. So it also ties in with the metro redesign. And again, I wanted to thank Jim, because he really looked at that redesign and suggested about, the route coming down here in the 17, I think it was, up by the town of Madison. And I think they took those comments from the commission into consideration. I think the cost to bring that rapid transit route from Traceway down here was astronomical. I don't know if that's going to happen. But anyway, lots of discussion still happening about that. Yeah. So I appreciate the advocacy. I will keep you in the loop. After 20 years, I realize that everything takes so much time. It's just painful. But I feel as hopeful as I've ever been that the city is looking at how to supplement transportation here and how to move the people around. And again, I'm a proponent of transportation for everybody, not just for older adults. Certainly, I will advocate hardest for older adults, but I do believe this is a bigger picture, and it's more cost-effective to engage more of the community versus just older adults. So, and the Friends are still very supportive of purchasing a bus and adding some funding, their funding towards that cost. So we've been having the same discussions at the Friends level too. So that's kind of where that's at. Any questions about that?
What is the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bev.
Why did they have to leave by 12:30?
Oh, because the contracted provider has other commitments that they have to be at. So that would be even more expensive to get a third bus to have people, yeah,
Later.
yeah.
Have to have a second contractor.
Maybe, or or the county has to give us enough money to add another bus, yeah. So go ahead, Jim.
This astronomical cost to bring it here,
Yeah,
I find that just a cop-out. It's 1.4 miles here, and it's an electric bus.
yeah,
So way I look at it, it's practically zero cost.
yeah.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I always appreciate your 2 cents. It's worth more than 2 cents. Yeah, Paul?
Yeah, how has our recent letter we sent out impacted the progress that you've reported on?
I think that, I don't know where everybody's head was before that letter, but I think what it does is it reminds the powers that be that people are paying attention and that they're engaged and this is what they want. So I think it's very impactful. It's better than doing nothing. It's better than me always talking about it, because as you can see, 20 years later, I'm still talking. So I obviously needed to engage more people early on, but the need has really increased too.
So have we received feedback from our letter?
Well, I think just, no, I guess nobody has specifically come to me and said, thank you for the letter. but it was received by all council members, which says, you know, you guys are on top of this, so, yeah. No. Mm-mm. And again, I think, you know, I'm sure if you know, I can't say for certain, if the city was willing to put up the funds, Madison Metro, you know, could extend the route. I would assume, I don't know. Usually there's a price tag on everything, but you can make it happen, but I'm not certain, so. But I'll keep you posted. Okay. Let's see, so I talked a little bit about Town of Madison. That's gonna be here sooner than we know. We met this week with, there's 2 city staff people that are really organizing all the outreach, Jeremy from Fact TV being one, and Lisa Sanford, the administrative assistant to the administrator. And they're doing a great job, and they pulled all of, we're kind of called leisure services when you talk about rec, library, and senior center. So we all met this week and talked about some outreach activities down at Southdale Park in the town of Madison. So we'll be doing outreach activities once a month. I think the third or fourth Thursday of June, July, and August, where each department will be down there with staff. We'll have games, you know, maybe we'll look at something like offering blood pressure or something like that, but just a good way to connect with folks down in those neighborhoods. And then we'll be setting up a meeting with Novation Commons, the senior apartment building, sooner than later to go and do an on-site presentation to those residents, because that's a 60-unit affordable senior housing. And, you know, we've already talked to the management there. People will be interested in coming here, which is so wonderful now that we have that second bus. So that's moving right along. And yeah, I'm excited to, you know, engage that part of new part of Fitchburg that's coming. Not officially until November 1st, but you know, we're halfway through May. It's coming. So let's see, just a couple other things. If you haven't gotten your booster, we are doing a COVID booster clinic next Friday from 8:30 to 12:30. All are welcome. Just show up, no appointment needed. Public Health will have lots of nurses to do that. So take advantage of that if you'd like. And then, Jim, don't let me forget, we can do it now or maybe as other announcements or there should be an area, things Jill forgot. We need to appoint a chair and a vice chair. So we'll do that before we adjourn, if that's okay. So no business to approve right now, but I wanted to go in a little more detail about the patio. I don't really ever do requests for proposals, big projects. I think the last time we did anything was, you know, the addition that was large enough to have to go through the procedures that the city puts forward. So each step of the way I was learning, so I created an RFP, you know, that said what we need, what we want in that patio. So Gancherts donated their time to come out and do a landscape drawing of a possible patio and what that would look like and what would fit in there. And so what we're looking at is about a 300 square foot patio that can seat about 14. It would be to the east of the main entrance. We kind of have that concrete patio in front of the big picture window when you're walking up. It would be kind of east of that if my directions are correct. It might be a little rounded so we can put more people in, you know, make it very aesthetically pleasing, not just a square thing. We'll need to do grading, and then possibly electric. I talked to maintenance about that because we do have some electricity running out there right now to some lights that are along the sidewalk. So we might want to put some lights out there too. So anyway, after working with Gancherts and figuring out some pricing, it looks like it's going to be about $30,000. That might be a little bit over the cost, but you know, everything is getting more expensive and depending on when we're able to do this. So I went to the city with my RFP, working with Public Works to make sure I've included everything. And then I was told that I needed to have the money in hand before we can start the project or send out the RFP. So I kind of do things backward. I was like, well, we'll just get the money as we start building it, but that's not how it works. So that's just my inexperience of how it goes. So what's going to happen next is that I've put through a budget amendment. So the city kind of puts $30,000 in the budget, and then we start fundraising. So I went to the Friends, as Marcia commented on, to ask if they would donate or contribute toward this project. And they said that they would contribute up to $10,000 in matching funds. So that's great. I have a legacy fund that we created years ago where a lot of people will give kind of end of the year donations, and we have different categories that they can donate to, like programs, building needs, and greatest need. And so we have some funds in there that I really haven't used for anything big. So I am going to move $10,000 from those legacy funds towards the cost of the patio, which leaves a nice, easy $10,000 to raise money. So that's kind of where I'm at. And again, you know, I was told we can't really start it until we have sort of the money in hand. My goal, once the budget amendment goes through the process, so it will come back to this committee as well as finance, as well as council and public works, I think. Once that gets through the process, which hopefully should be at the end of June, we would kick off a campaign in July and August. Now, this is my positive outlook that we would be able to raise $10,000 in 2 months. That's my goal, that we could then send out an RFP and still break ground this fall. Looking at, talking to Gancherts, this does not look like a big deal to a landscape company to put in a 300 square foot patio, that it wouldn't take a ton of time. It's not a huge project. So that's kind of my goal. So just opening up for discussion today, I don't have a ton of experience with a capital campaign. We did the Friends, and the Friends are not going to be in charge of this. They're just giving money. In the past, the Friends have done most of the fundraising for the senior center, but you know, they're involved in the patio, and they are in the transportation piece, and they do so many other things. I just felt like I wanted this to come from us, my staff, the senior center, and they're just contributing the money. They did a lot during the addition, is when we did kind of more of a capital campaign. We did send out some letters, and we got some funding that way. So anyway, I think the first thing I need to do is probably call together a committee who might be interested in helping me make a plan, maybe mentoring me, you know, and figuring out a lot of different things about who do we target, and, you know, how do we target them? How do we market this? How do we engage participants? How do we maybe engage the business community? So that's kind of the discussion I wanted to have with the commission this morning.
We talked about this at the men's group, and one of the things that would help is to make sure that people understand that they can contribute tax-free by contributing to the legacy fund, or if they make out their check to Fitchburg Senior Center, would that be tax-free?
Yes.
But not if they made it out to the city of Fitchburg.
Nope, it's tax-free. I have
The city of Fitchburg?
Yep, I
too?
would provide the donor with a.
Oh, okay, so it's all
tax
tax-free.
exempt, absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So they don't have to worry about how they word it.
No,
Just, you know, those folks out there start planning on giving $1,000 per person. And
well,
that'd be
maybe,
good.
maybe is the men's group going to come forward? Maybe I just attack each group and say.
Everybody in the group, 10,000.
No, that's a good, you know, this is kind of the stuff that I just kind of wanted to, you know, engage you guys today, and then certainly dive into the woods about really, you know, how we're going to do it, but just thoughts that are popping into your mind right now, so.
Well, if you can't do,
Put your mic on.
if you can't do the RFP until you have the funds, how do you present the idea or the concept
Right.
of, because the design will come from the results of the RFP.
Right, that's a good question, and I was thinking about that yesterday, because, oftentimes, you have this beautiful drawing, and people are like, yes, I love it, I want to donate to that. I think because I am inexperienced, and I was going to ask Finance or Public Works about this, I think money is put in the budget to hire someone to give you a possible plan that you can then promote. But I don't disagree. It was a little confusing to me about how do I promote something that I don't even have a design, and, I don't.
Budget number for.
And a budget number, in which, Ganchertz was very generous to come over and meet with me and draw up a design, but I certainly don't want to take advantage of that design by promoting it and then send out an RFP and they're not awarded it. So that's a good question that I'm still trying to figure out.
Are we still looking, when we first talked about this, we talked about the patio and having some sort of a cover over the top to keep the sun off of you. Is that still what Ganser was talking about, or is it just the cement slab?
It's just the cement, and it's also all the landscaping materials,
Yeah.
because of course, the process, we still have to get the process through Promega, because they have architectural review of anything that happens outside the building, because they donated the land. So that is all included in the cost. We looked at where the sun is, and it's not super sunny there. Those overhangs are quite expensive, and it's something we could look at adding down the road. But, the sun, we have the trees, and then in the afternoon, the building shades it. So it's not really super, super sunny. So we did not include that. But that could definitely increase the cost from the quotes I had before, about $15,000 for a really nice structure, yeah. But if we raise more money from the men's group, we could have a men's group.
Or we could have the men's
Awning.
group just build it ourselves.
There we go.
There we go. Be a
Yeah.
nice little project, build a, what do you call them, pergola or?
Pergola, yeah, that was, the pergola, yeah.
Jill, we had a conversation before the meeting started
Yes.
about databases that you have for communications purposes. What type of database do we have that would include people who use the senior center, families of individuals who've used the senior? What type of database do we have for that? Because that seemed to me would be a ripe audience to hit.
Right. So we have a pretty good database of all the participants here. And if they're getting any services, the older adult, we might have their family contacts numbers as too. It's an access database. We could probably drop a lot of those addresses into an Excel spreadsheet and then do a mass mailing. And then, as we were discussing, I have a database, pretty scaled down, just an Excel database of donors that have donated to the Legacy Fund since we started that, because that really was our first official way that we started to capture those funds. But I can go back and look at a lot of donors from the last 5 years. Over my course of, a lot of years here, I was never great about tracking donors. We always did a thank you, but they always went to the city and, there's $25, $50, $100. It's somewhere, but until we connected with the city's finance accounting software, a lot of that stuff is lost. But I'm also going back 30 years. So we do have a database. It's not like a donor database where you can purchase, fundraising and that kind of stuff and then hit a button. We don't have that, yeah.
Quick question, maybe this is for Marcia rather than for you, but the $10,000 of matching funds, will the Friends Group be doing fundraising to put those dollars together, or will you use existing funds? We wouldn't, I had the same thought. It would seem that we would have a donor database that it would be an easy first call just to, but not to duplicate efforts of the Friends if they are going to do that.
We will not need to fundraise. We have the funds available now.
Okay, so that wouldn't be on your plan, so easy first step would be to put out a call and 10,000 is not very much to raise.
Well, that's, and I don't want to sound, overly confident, but I didn't feel like that was a ton of money to raise.
Yeah.
In 2 months, depending on how we go about it.
No, is this going to be limited in use to just the senior center?
I can't technically rope
Right.
it off when I leave at 4. So, I don't foresee other departments planning activities there, but I could foresee a rental group, hanging outside for a while, maybe while some program is going on, but I don't see programming right now, just because a lot of them use the parks and stuff, but that's not to say they won't.
Well, couldn't people treat it as a park?
Yes, absolutely. It's a public, it's absolutely for the public.
So
Yeah.
people could go for a walk along the various trails and sit down and
Yes.
have a
Yeah.
glass of wine and congregate.
And we can charge them money, maybe. No, I'm kidding. Yes, absolutely.
So would
Yes.
the city have an interest in funding it as a park or part of the park? Dream on, but
I would say no at this point, because, we didn't even put it in the CIP.
I see.
But I do think that we can engage the community at large.
Right.
And that would be maybe through the local newspaper and that kind of stuff, so, good point. Yeah, it's not just for seniors. And, again, like transportation, everything I feel like our department does should benefit the community as a whole as well.
Right.
Because, I'm funded, my staff is funded by the city and taxpayers. My wage isn't just from older adult taxpayers, it's for everybody. So if we have a beautiful space, by all means, it should be available to the public.
I think that if Promega has, we have to have their approval for any of the design. So they want to be involved, so maybe they should be involved, a $10,000 contribution.
Well, I will ask that.
I think we should. Really, I'm serious about it.
Oh, I know.
Or even more broadly, if there's a group of, within the city of Fitchburg, chief executive officers, presidents of corporations that have been friendly to this group, that's another subset of direct communication.
Right.
That probably is not a letter, but maybe a visit from Jill.
Right.
With a board member.
One-on-one, to try to get them interested in the project.
Yep, I agree. I agree. I think it's a nice project that would lend itself to warm fuzzies for a business to be a part of, because it's just a really nice thing. And it's very tangible and it's very visual. And I think that, just the momentum of the popularity of being outdoors is, this is all part of that too with COVID, and just people have been outdoors more. And I think there's a greater appreciation for what the outdoors brings to people and their quality of life. So I'm really excited about it. This is something that doesn't feel like, oh, we need transportation money, or this is a happy, exciting thing,
And
kind of like the addition.
My experience has been people like to donate for bricks and mortar
Yes,
versus programming.
yes, because you
is
can
so much
see
easier.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they can
Yeah.
they can report it back to
Right.
their boards or their
Right.
stockholders.
And then, there's a whole other piece of the recognition, because we, I talk about like stamped bricks, or, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of work to be done before we kick this off. So, I would open it up to you, not that all of you need another meeting, but if you are interested in kind of serving on a capital campaign committee, for a couple months, let me know. I will reach out. I don't want to reach out to the Friends because they have enough. I certainly can open it up to them, but, and maybe there's a few volunteers downstairs I know that I would maybe approach to serve on this committee too. So, I think 3 or 4 of us just helping me outline a timeline, some ideas about how we recognize donors and just different things like that. So, let me know.
I'd be happy to help.
Thank you. All right. Donna's down. Paul's down because okay. Yeah, think about it.
Anything else, Jill?
That's it.
Okay. Well, we should probably deal with the appointments for chair and vice chair.
Right, and we're still down one member, so I am searching for one more member to replace Alice, so. So, yeah, go
Jim,
ahead.
if you were nominated, would you agree to serve for one more year?
Unless somebody else really wants to take the leadership role, that, you know, I'm fine with continuing. It's not too hard. But we would entertain if there's anybody else who would like to take the chair. Okay,
I'd like to nominate Jim Sosnowski. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Sosnowski.
I was pretty close.
Yep,
To serve as chair of the commission for the coming year.
I second.
okay. Moved and seconded. Is all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, I guess I'm it.
All right.
Now we get to have a
Now you
a
have
vice,
another
because
opportunity.
I might be off on a senior center
You might.
trip someplace.
Yep.
Like I thought I was gonna be gone today. I suppose we need somebody to be vice that will, if I'm absent, will be willing to take care of that.
Yeah,
Who is our current vice?
it was Ruth Domack,
okay.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is there any volunteers for that? Or any nominations for vice chair?
I can tell you, Jim hardly misses a meeting.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty
I
easy.
do not remember you missing a meeting.
Right, yeah. I don't
No
think I can
nominations?
nominate anybody.
Huh? Well, Jill, I guess you're just gonna have to make an appointment then.
That's what I'm thinking.
Twist some arms.
Yeah, you can nominate.
I can nominate, okay. I'll nominate Barbara.
I didn't hear a no there.
I just heard an uncomfortable giggle.
Well, we gotta have
It's really not that
we
bad.
gotta have a second though. Do I hear a second? Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations, Barbara.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for agreeing to serve.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you both.
I'll be,
Now, that doesn't mean you're gonna quit the commission.
yeah, right, no, she's
Not
not.
an option.
No, she's not.
There
Yep.
we go.
Yep.
Okay, are there any other announcements? If not, our next meeting will be June 9th at 8:30. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the hot weather today.